All right, folks, it's time for World Politics. We're going to see if our guest makes an appearance or not. But right now, it is definitely news that Trump is picking his cabinet and picking it at record pace and all along those lines. So, definitely, there are a number of people that are talking about the folks that he has picked for his cabinet and how they are doing in that regard. So, definitely, there's a lot of folks that are having conversations around who is being picked, including Mike Huckabee and Christy Nomes and a number of others as well. So definitely a lot of folks are looking at this notion of who is in the cabinet, who will be running the government along with Trump and all along those lines. So we're definitely having a lot of conversations in that space, and it'll be interesting to see what people are thinking about the notion of who will be doing the various jobs. I understand that Mike Huckabee will be the ambassador to Israel. So some of the folks that have been picked are Susie Wiles, who is the chief of staff. Trump announced that last Thursday. One of his two campaign managers, and that will be the lady that will be in charge as the White House chief of staff. And definitely, she is credited with running a successful and efficient campaign. Supporters hope she will install a sense of order and discipline that was often lacking during Trump's first 4 year terms when he cycled through a number of chief of staffs. And then we've got Tom Homan, who is the border czar. Trump announced on Sunday night that Homan, the former acting director of immigration and customs enforcement from his first administration, will be in charge of the country's borders. So Trump made cracking down on people in the country illegally a central element of his campaign, promising mass deportation. So Holman said on Monday he would prioritize deporting immigrants in the U.S. illegally who pose safety and security threats, as well as those working at job sites. So that's definitely somebody in charge as well. And Elsie Stefanik, a UN ambassador, Trump announced on Monday that Stefanik, a Republican congresswoman and staunch Trump supporter, would be his ambassador to the United Nations, and she is a U.S. representative from New York State and House Republican Conference chair, and she took a leadership position in the House of Representatives in 2021 when she was elected to replace then Representative Liz Cheney, who was ousted for criticizing Trump's claims of election fraud. So definitely that's something else we're seeing. And Lee Zeldin, an EPA, it will be the EPA administrator if Trump gets his way. So Trump announced on Monday he had appointed former Congresswoman Lee Zeldin of New York State as administrator of the Environmental Protection Agency, and Zeldin said he had accepted the role. And he was definitely a staunch Trump ally as well. And Scott Bisnet is seen as a potential Treasury Secretary. He was a key economic advisor to Trump and is widely seen as a top candidate for the Treasury Secretary and all along those lines, even though other candidates being floated out there include John Polson, Larry Kudlow, and Robert Lichthizer. So definitely has got down a lot of the folks in jobs. Like I said, I think Christy Nome has been put in charge of Homeland Security and all along those lines. So there are a number of people that are in various jobs and all along those lines. So it ought to be quite interesting to see what folks have to say about a number of these appointments and what's going on in that space. I'm going to bring in some of my regular panelists. I don't think that I've got the guests that I was expecting, but they may show up later and everything. But we've also got Rick Rosner, and we've got Jatovi, and we've got Sasha, and Kim is in the background and everything. So, what is y'all's thoughts around some of these appointments that have been put out there? It looks like he's putting them out there on a regular basis. Every time I turn around, there's another one that's being appointed. Like I said, Mike Huckabee will be the ambassador to Israel, it looks like. And I'd also seen that Christy Nome will be in charge of Homeland Security, and the woman that was running here in North Carolina against Mo Green, it looks like she's put her position as a potential education secretary. Marcy, I believe is her name. I'm trying to remember the name. Jacoby, you can remember her and everything, but she is definitely looking like she might be an education person that they are looking at.
So Huckabee is an end times lunatic. He believes in uh, the book of Revelation in the Bible, and which has a bunch of stuff happening in Israel and with the Jews and with the Antichrist fighting Jesus that ends up with most of the people on earth dead. Um, so, I mean, maybe not the best guy to, you know, be a politically balanced representative to Israel. Kristi Noem doesn't come from a border state. Kristi Noem is best known to most Americans for murdering her puppy because her puppy was unruly, and then also murdering a goat because the goat smelled bad.
Wow, and definitely that'd be interesting and everything like that. And I did hear from Shada and Capri, so she will reschedule. She had some things come up and she had to reschedule because she had to attend an emergency court hearing. But I know she's very much involved in something that you're passionate about, Kim, because she's very much into the whole notion of how things are going with sex trafficking and things like that and everything. So we'll definitely reschedule her and get her back on either this show or one of the other ones in the near future. But what is your take on these folks that are getting these jobs in the administration and everything? Like I said, I was a little bit surprised at the education lady from here in North Carolina who is put her name in the hat to run for, I guess, Department of Education and all along those lines. So anybody's thoughts around some of these candidates that are going to be running the Trump administration?
Well, I'm concerned about Kristi Noem. I mean, come on, what qualifications does she really have to run Homeland Security? I mean, she was a governor, and like Rick said, she's known for murdering her dog and goat. I mean, it's just, I just think that he's picking all of these people because they're loyal to him, but they have no qualifications to do the job that they're doing, which is telling me that he doesn't need anyone to have qualifications to do the job. He needs loyal people. And so that's concerning to me because it's just fitting into the little puzzle and story that I've been predicting what's really going to happen. How he's going to partner with BRICS to end the war. Partnering with BRICS is partnering with Putin. So I foresee that's his goal. Deporting the migrants, I don't think there's really that big of a problem that they try to spread fear about after I did the math. And then took a look at that there was already 10 million people here since 2010. I think that it was a lot of gaslighting of a lot of things that really weren't happening. And, the smoke screens are there and people are going to follow him. But if you take a look at the people he's putting in positions, they really have no skill sets or qualifications for the jobs. And they're just loyal. And that's all you need when you're, going to take over a country. You don't need anybody to do the job. So go ahead, Sasha.
Well, you have to remember that he is himself not qualified for the job. So why you expect him to appoint qualified people? It's next to impossible. Actually, the less they are qualified, it's better. But now there is something else that I have to tell you because I just heard in the last hour or so. You remember a few days ago, Russia has published a semi-nude picture of Melania Trump.
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they did publish it. There's nothing so important. Okay,
she posed nude. Big deal.
With certain tastes, she's a nice, beautiful woman, and in semi-nude pictures, it's not so bad. Let's put it this way. However, it was just the beginning. Today, the telegraph agency of Russia called TASS, it's been in existence for the last almost 100 years. They've made interview and announced Patrushev, who is the second in command after Putin. And he said very straightforward that Trump should not forget the certain powers that brought him to White House. And it's time right now to pay back certain favors. So this is not Sasha Star or Rick or somebody else said. It was said the telegraph agency of Russia, and the person on the other end was Mr. Patrushev, second in command to Putin. And trust me, without agreement of Mr. Putin himself, he could never publish anything that important information as this one. So what it tells me, that tells me that there were certain agreements between Trump and Russia. Certain agreements. What they are, I really don't know. I don't care either. But in the last few days, something didn't work out as expected. Russians are very vindictive by nature. And if something, not only something that he did against Russia, even if he only said something, or even if he thought about something that could be viewed as unfriendly act or something, that provoked very, very stern, very strong and unexpected reaction from Russia. That's what now Trump has to deal with. One way or another, he has to, what he's going to do, deny that there were any agreements. It's even worse. The right approach would be to tell Mr. Putin that he's sending to Ukraine 2,000 Tomahawk missiles, and he takes all the conditions on using U.S. weapons on Russian territory, and so on, to make Putin to fear for his life, including and starting with his life. There is nothing else. To forget about all his vindictive plans to have Trump as his puppet, because that's, if not unanswered, that's what really it looks like.
Now, what is the red?
Just really quickly along those same lines, and this is for Jacoby and Rick and everything, because Jacoby comes out of the world of sports and also the world of gaming, and Rick was on a major TV show, and we talk a lot about the gamification of America and everything. If this doesn't sound like gamification, I don't know what does. And I'm going to read you what's going on. The name that I was trying to remember was Michelle Murrow. She was the MAGA candidate who last week lost the race for North Carolina superintendent of public instruction, but she's now hoping to land an education post in the new Trump administration. Apparently, Murrow is among dozens of people who have been nominated on a new website created by Robert F. Kennedy Jr. to crowdsource the names of people to fill positions in the new Trump administration. So on Monday, which was yesterday, she posted a link on her social media pages to urge supporters to vote for her for a role in the U.S. Department of Education. So apparently we're going to do like this whole gamification contest in order for you to get a job in education and everything. So there's even saying...
Is that for a federal position in education, or
Secretary of Education? Secretary of Education.
For the whole federal?
Yeah.
For the whole federal government.
We know who he's going to assign that to. He already assigned it to that guy that's head of the Illuminati's. What's his name? I'll pull it up here in a minute.
So
well, it's for a role, so but it could be like a deputy secretary.
I don't know. The last person he appointed, Betsy DeVos, has come out in favor of dismantling the Department of Education.
Yeah, I don't know if that's dealing with the gamification side of things. I think there's a lot that's going to happen. Sasha pointed out even just part of it, because, I mean, with what Russia did with the nude photos was more so a power move than anything. It was, hey, look, you know where your place is. And he's right. The people are going to come calling for their due. Even Elon Musk is going to come calling. That's why Donald Trump handed the phone to Elon Musk to talk to Putin while he was sitting right beside him. I mean, he's a private industry individual. But even if he throws Morrow on top of the Department of Education, they're trying to dismantle the Department of Education. That was a big promise. What they're trying to do is throw in some universal education thing that is going to be backed by Morrow or run by Morrow or run by whatever. So it's not really a department head thing. They're going to destroy that whole department. What's coming is really, really bad. And honestly, what Sasha pointed out, what Rick has pointed out, I mean, there are people knocking at his door now saying, I want my due. The people that he's putting in are just loyalists. That's it. They don't really have any qualifications. He's already told the head of the Senate and the head of the House to go ahead, or actually those candidates, to go ahead and take a recess so he can do recess appointments. Why? Because he's just putting loyalists in. and they don't have to be vetted. Nobody can. He can just throw anybody he wants to in there without them being checked out or actually reviewed. They can just accept the job and we're done. So he can throw anybody in there, from Eileen Cannon to
So anyway, it was George Mintz that, right.
So let Sasha go first.
It was George Mintz that he nominated to the Federal Education Commissioner. And so he had up the whole education system for all of the United States. And he is a big Illuminati person. So, I mean, I just see all of this wickedness coming about. But, hey, it's interesting to me that he just nominates loyal subjects, not real qualified people.
Well, he nominated somebody for environment that apparently has no environmental background. So he nominated this gentleman.
Sasha.
Yeah.
Mark,
what does Sasha have to say?
I have to leave earlier. Give me 5 minutes and I'm done, and you can continue about education and all other wonderful stuff. What I'd like to say is this. Trump is transactional president. And here, whatever Putin has compromised on Trump. Okay, so Trump was okay. He was fucking 5 Russian women here and there or so on, but it doesn't matter because Trump already had so many trials or so on. So it just doesn't matter. What's important? What Putin can put on the table to please Trump, and there is nothing. He's threatening this idiot. Instead of offering Trump something nice, something constructive, he fails to do it because he's just stupid idiot. However, I said that earlier today on my Ukrainian show, Zelensky, he learned something about Trump. And he figured out that beside asking for money and weapons and money and weapons and more money and more weapons, now they smartened up. Now they offer to Trump. Number one, complete access to all Ukrainian resources, whether it's lithium, whether it's uranium, whatever is still in the Ukraine available, everything is going to Trump. And number two, which is even more important for Trump, he offered to replace all U.S. troops in NATO, in Europe, by Ukrainian soldiers. So therefore, U.S. will have no expenses to maintain NATO and so on. All could be done by Ukrainian soldiers. And both of these proposals interested Trump a lot. And he said he already spent 2 days with his advisors to analyze each of these proposals. So it makes Zelensky much, much smarter than this idiot Putin. Okay, I'm done. Thank you very much.
No problem. We'll actually turn it over to Dan, because Dan and Shaquille have joined us and everything. Dan, are you joining this list of people? I'm talking about Michelle Murrow and everything, but apparently Kennedy has got this list out there called Nominees for the People site to solicit names for screening in all departments of the executive branch. So I was just wondering, are you going to go apply for any of these jobs, and what your thoughts are around the current administration? Because apparently Kennedy has put out this site, and it's literally called Nominees for the People and everything, but it's supposed to be screening folks for these various jobs. And I just wondering your thoughts around the cabinet as it's coming together and everything like that.
Well, Trump will pick whatever he wants to pick as a cabinet. It's his prerogative as president. Then they have to get approved by the Congress, of course. And so that process is beginning. We know that the Senate's going to allow and permit interim appointments, so that doesn't delay the appointment of the people that are going to serve on his cabinet for 2 years, like happened the first time around. So Trump is much more savvy about the political process and the process of pulling together his administration than he was the first time. I think the first time it came as a bit of a shock that he got elected at all. This time, I think he was expecting to get elected, expecting to defeat Kamala Harris in the election, and did so soundly and by a large portion even of the popular vote, which was the first time in many years that's happened.
It makes sense. Shaquille, their take, like I said, there's a number of these appointments that are coming out. Huckabee apparently is going to be ambassador to Israel, and there are a number of other ones that might even have some international ramifications. So, what is your take on the cabinet as it is coming together now? Because he's apparently they're saying he's doing it at breakneck speed, the amount of folks that he is nominating and everything like that. So, what's your take?
I don't have a take. It's all just nonsense, which is just being, pushed out there by the media. Mayor Pete certainly didn't have any experience in running transportation. The great doctor that was in charge of HUD under Donald Trump. Okay, he's a neurosurgeon, very smart guy. Has got no experience with urban development. So the fact that Trump's putting people in that don't necessarily have experience in these particular positions, is this something new? No, it's not. This happens under every government and every administration. It has been the case for as long as I've been alive, and I'm sure since before then. So this is just nonsense. It's just being put out there by the media in order to try to tear Trump down a little bit. That's what I think.
Fair enough and everything. Anybody, Rick, you were going to add something?
Yeah, the people he's picking now look to be pretty consistent with the people he picked the first time he was president, and so the most centrist president we've had in the last 70 years was Dwight Eisenhower, and we have a centrist. We have an equally divided population where no president in the last 40 years since Reagan has gotten more than 53% of the popular vote. This time around, Trump is on track to get 50.2%, Harris to get about 48.2%. But Trump is typical of presidents in the last 50 years that he's going to pick people and govern as if he's got a mandate.
Yeah, because he does. He does. This with everything that's happened to him, with the weaponization of the justice system, with the unfair and biased media coverage, I think he does have a mandate, and the fact that despite Democrats wanting to pretend it's not happening and ignore it, the fact of the matter is that the people are not happy about immigration, and they're not happy about inflation. And, it really takes some effort to upset the Jewish people and the Muslims at the same time, right? Which is exactly what Kamala Harris has done. So, and the Christians, she's upset everybody. She's lost in every single major demographic group. So, yes, he's got a mandate. He's going to do what he's promised he was going to do. And he's entitled to do that. And he's got the House and he's got the Senate. Well, he doesn't have the House yet, but he's likely to. So he'll have the House, he'll have the Senate, he's got the Supreme Court. So, yes, he's got a mandate to do the things that he wants to do.
But Shaquille,
so just put out there, just to push back real quick, Trump is not a centrist. Rick, I understand that you're saying a centrist again. Trump is far from a centrist.
No, I didn't say he was. I'm saying that he's going to be what he was the first time around.
Well, he's going to be worse because he's moved even further right than he has before. Before there was, right now there's a push to close the Department of Education, to close NOAA, to close all these organizations that they feel are these calling cards from the extreme right. So he is not, and then to put as the deputy chief of staff, Stephen Miller now. I mean, and then the other individuals that he's put in different places. He's governing far to the right. Yeah, sure, he won the popular vote. This is what the people voted for. So he's going to govern like he has a mandate. But also you've got to remember that a lot of this stuff was helped by Elon Musk. And Elon Musk put out a lot of fake and disinformation. I would like to submit to the panel here. Now, Mark, if you could, I'm gonna share something. This is a few minutes long, but I would like to submit this to everyone because everything they say is factually true in this right here. Nothing is a lie.
This is the story of how the world's richest person, the owner of Tesla and X, bought the global town square, then corrupted it before using his immense wealth to help elect a convicted felon. April 14, 2022.
Oh, God.
Elon Musk makes an unsolicited offer to buy Twitter for $44 billion. He claims the site has become politically skewed and says, for Twitter to deserve public trust, it must be politically neutral. October 27th, the deal goes through. The next evening, a far-right conspiracy theorist breaks into the San Francisco home of Democrat House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, intending to kidnap her. Pelosi is away, but the man attacks her husband Paul, hitting him repeatedly on the head with a
Her
hammer.
gay boyfriend.
Cut it out already, will you?
But requires surgery for
This
his
is
nonsense.
just propaganda.
While most
This
people
is
take
all
the time
shit.
to
This is
describe
all
political
false.
violence, the new owner of Twitter, Elon Musk, posted
Well, I
a tweet
muted
sharing an
it, eh?
entirely false claim that Paul Pelosi was
You
in
dare
fact
pass
injured in a
this
drunken
off as
fight with a
factual?
male prostitute with whom he was involved. Musk
You should
includes a
be
link to a
ashamed.
false claim on a website that has a history of publishing conspiracy theories, including a story asserting that Hillary Clinton is dead and has been replaced by a body double. Musk's post is retweeted 24,000 times before he deletes it. November 18th, Musk's Twitter starts to unlock previously banned accounts. Misogynist far-right influencer Andrew Tate was permanently banned from Twitter in 2017 after urging women to, quote, bear some responsibility for rape. Now he's back. Tate posts, I've decided to fly to the failed state of California, walk into Twitter HQ, and tell @Elon Musk he's a legend. On my way. 2 months later, Tate will be arrested in Romania on suspicion of human trafficking, rape, and forming an organized crime group. December 8th, 3 members of Twitter's Trust and Safety Council resign. In their resignation letter, they cite research that found slurs against Black Americans and gay men jumped 195% and 58% respectively since Musk's takeover. 3 days later, the remaining members of Twitter's Trust and Safety Council are dismissed. Musk then tweets that, quote, my pronouns are prosecute
So
Fauci, a reference to a conspiracy theory that the COVID crisis was exacerbated by America's top infectious
This clip
disease
you're
doctor.
showing is
December
10
16th,
minutes
having
long.
claimed he's
You're
a
going
free
to
speech
eat up
absolutist,
like
Musk bans
15%
@ElonJet,
of our
a
time.
Twitter account that tracks the movements of his private jet using publicly available data. Musk also bans the accounts of a number of journalists who have written about @ElonJet. February 12th, 2023.
That thing is, I mean, I agree with what it's saying, but it runs 10 minutes.
Okay, I mean, even if but point being, I guess, since others did not want to listen to it or even try and put the 2 and 2 together, which they did.
That's because it's not true.
No, it's actually true.
Oh, you know, this is just
It's-
more of your
it's true.
propaganda, more of your falsehoods.
Dan, hold on.
I'm
Let me ask
leaving
you a
this
question.
because
Dan, let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Dan,
Dan,
let me ask you a question. So again, everything they pointed out in that video is true. Everything is. And we have to be able to admit that Musk utilizing Twitter was able to
I'm gonna disappear as well. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna leave you guys to spread your propaganda, and I'll leave you to it. Okay, enjoy yourself. Goodbye.
She killed everybody and everything.
So-
the flip side of that, and everything, which I was going to bring up to both Dan and Shaquille, is there have been a number of folks, I see Nick is joining us as well, that have talked about the populist agenda, because even AOC put out that she was trying to understand the split vote, and there were some people that brought up some of the things that Adam and others had brought up, which is the economics, and they felt that they had a similar populist message, because there were a number of people that were fans of AOC that were trying to put her in a populist bag with Trump, because there are some people that think that Trump is a populist. I'm not saying that I agree with them, but there are people that have that attitude and that belief. So even AOC put it out on her own website that she wanted to know why there was a lot of split ticket voters, meaning people that were voting for Trump, but also voting for people like AOC.
I saw that, and I mean, yeah, people said that, oh, well, people believe that, oh, well, Trump is not from inside the bubble and AOC is not from inside the bubble and all that stuff. Those are different. I saw that article and actually the videos surrounding that piece as well. The issue comes into play if we're not going to be able to be honest about where things are, where pieces are, and we've given a mandate to an individual that blatantly lied to people. So what is the reason that he has to tell the truth? For example, and Nick, were people in Springfield eating cats and dogs? No, but he lied about it. Was 2020 stolen? No, but he lied about it.
You gotta listen more. Look at your candidate real closely. She's so bad. She was so bad that a convicted felon who can't tell the truth would beat her. I think Santa Claus would beat her. I think
think a Klansman would be.
I would have. Well, hold on. Wait a second. I would have President Santa Claus. Everybody would want President Santa Claus.
Couldn't even beat Trump. Think about it, my friend.
Yep.
Okay.
People bought the
repeat after
lie.
me, Jacoby. Repeat after me, Jacoby.
Nick.
My candidate is so bad, she can't even beat a convicted.
Here's the
Nick.
question though, Nick. If he won
Oh, yes.
lying, what reason does he have to tell the truth?
Hey, why are you going after Trump? Go after your
No,
candidate.
Nick, I'm asking you a question. We're moving forward. We're moving forward, Nick. I'm asking you a simple question.
I
He
don't really
won-
care.
he legitimately won
living in
lying.
Spain. So Jacoby, I really don't care. See this? Beautiful Spain. Okay? So the thing
I
is,
think the question that Jacoby is asking is,
But
how
I'm-
can we
what
trust
I'm
the president
telling
that
you-
has gone through
what I'm
all of
telling
these
you,
things, and
you guys
what
gotta
can
really
the
look
country
at-
do for 4 years if they're going to deal with a administration that is going to
you
be
keep
based in
attacking
this kind of philosophy?
Trump, and you don't look in the mirror, baby.
You're not
Look in the
Nick.
mirror.
Nick, again, you keep saying people are not listening.
Why
We
bother
are
attacking?
listening.
It's a waste
That's
of
why
time.
I'm asking you a simple question. But it seems like you keep going back to the same talking point of everybody's not listening. I'm asking you simply. The man won lying. He legitimately lied. Yeah, he could tap into the feelings of the working man and so on and put this populist message, but the populist message that he put out was based on lies. So what reason does this man have to tell the truth? What reason? Dan and
Rich, you have a
Shaq ran away
comment?
because they said everything I put out was propaganda.
I'm
They couldn't
not
prove it
listening.
wrong. They were just not wanting to
I'm
accept it.
I'm just not listening.
All right. So
Do you have a comment?
I agree with Jacoby that Musk blew 10% of the $300 billion that he's worth. He bought Twitter for $44 billion. It's now worth less than $10 billion. He lost $34 billion. Does he care? I don't know. And he turned it into kind of a propaganda joint. But we don't know how many votes that determined. Twitter, of the major social media sites, Facebook, it has like less than a tenth of the traffic of Facebook. Did it really flip that many votes? We don't know. We can't frickin' tell.
Well, the tough
you-
part with
you-
that
you
though,
guys are trying-
Rick, is
you're crying in your soup because you don't know why you
Well,
lost.
hold
and
on.
The thing is, and you keep attacking Trump because he's a horrible human being, which is true. Okay, but you have
Nick.
to realize your candidate can't beat a
Hold on.
person that's a horrible
Rick,
human being.
Just to point
So,
out, when
you gotta figure out
Elon Musk,
what went wrong. Your message to Toby isn't resonating anywhere except in your four walls of your room.
Well, let me ask you.
A
Hold on a second. Let me
whole-
ask this. And hold on a second. Let me ask this. Well, hold on a second, Nick. Let me ask everybody this. Well, some people are saying will have to happen is this notion of resistance, and there are some people that say that Trump will be heavy-handed with resistance. So, the people that are frustrated or that got through the lies and are frustrated by the system, do they need to go the resistance route? Do they need to move like you did to Spain, or what should people
Resistance?
do if they are part of this group of folks that are
What
frustrated by what is
do you
taking place?
guys? What sort of? Wait a minute. Trump was president. You guys don't remember. Trump was president for 4 years. Okay.
I'm going to come back because
Did you
Toby,
see?
Toby's bouncing off it, and Dan and Michelle and Adam are speaking.
hate
Trump
crime
was president
spike,
for
Nick.
4 years. Did you see the KKK walking down through?
Yes.
No.
Yes.
No.
Hate crime spiked up under Trump's first 4 years, Nick.
Imagination.
No, hate crimes. The data is there. Hate crime spiked up under there. And to answer what Rick was just talking about, Rick, the tough part is it did move some. When you have Elon Musk putting out something and it gets over 170 some odd million views and it's a conspiracy theory, and then he buys another website or two to put out in places that are heavily Jewish, that Kamala Harris is putting out is big time Palestinian, and then in areas that are Muslim, Kamala Harris is big time into Israel. And so when Elon Musk is spending over $200 million to get
so you're
that is how you
let me translate what you're saying. What you're saying is the Republicans did a much better job than the Democrats in swaying
I agree,
voters.
Nick. We agree. The Republicans have always been.
Why don't we take it backstage? What's this about? You put me up, take me down. Put me up, take me down. What's all that about?
I'm trying to keep you up and everything. I'm not taking you down. So hold on a second. Shaquille, I was trying to get you.
Yeah, the only reason why he came back was because Jacoby was mouthing off about Dan and I leaving because of the propaganda rubbish that he's put up there. That's the only reason why he came back. I wasn't given a chance to say anything, as usual, as normal for progressive TV. And then I come back and you take me backstage on and on.
Well, like I said, I don't know who's taking you down. I'm the one keeping you up.
Well, if it's not you that can take me backstage, then we know who it is. So out of respect, because I know how sensitive everybody is, I'll just leave and leave you guys to sit there and spew more.
Shaquille, I want to hear your answer to what you were
I'm not interested. I'm actually not interested. If Jacoby thinks that the audience of this network are so stupid that they're going to watch what he just put up there and go, oh, that was completely unbiased, fair and neutral coverage of Elon Musk, right? And that it was a far right winger that broke into Pelosi's house. I mean, if he thinks the audience is that stupid, well, maybe he's right. Maybe the audience is as woke as him and Kimberly have become while they've tried to destroy this network. Or maybe the audience is more intelligent. Either way, I'm not going to participate in it. But if you're going to call my name, if you're going to call my name to Toby and say that, we've left because we don't want to counter your propaganda, it's not that we don't want to counter your propaganda. It's just that we get muted, we get taken backstage, we get spoken over the top of, we get told that we're only allowed to speak for 1 minute while you go and ramble for 5, okay? It's all that sort of nonsense. That's why we've all left. We came on today because Dan sent me a message, hey, do you want to come on before you go on to your other show? Yeah, okay, I'll come on briefly. And you just start with that crap. So I'll leave you guys to it. Bye.
I don't know what you're talking about. Either way, run away all you want to. I don't know what you're talking about.
Hey, listen, Mark,
prove it wrong. If it's propaganda, prove it to be propaganda. Don't just say it's propaganda. That doesn't work. That's just lying flat out because you cannot prove it wrong. That's the same thing with RFK saying, oh, well, vaccinations don't work. Okay, prove that they don't work. If you can't prove it, just claiming that it doesn't work or claiming that it's propaganda, prove that it's propaganda. I can prove that what Trump put out is propaganda. He lied about eating cats and dogs. That was a lie.
Okay, so I've been looking around for a measure of how much Twitter may have influenced the election, and so I haven't found anything really great, but I found that the election spending in 2024 totaled $16 billion. That's ad buys, and the Musk's messaging on Twitter, he got viewed like 2 billion times. What if he'd had to pay for it? Would have cost 24 million. So 24 million is only 1.5% of 16. No, I'm sorry, it's only 0.15% of 16 billion. So,
Nick and Jacoby, and this is for Nick as well, because nobody answered my question yet and everything, but it is something that I'm hearing even in my own Facebook feeds and all along those lines and everything. What would your advice or the advice of the three of you be to folks that are frustrated that Trump has won and everything? Should they just be complacent and just kind of like let it go and wait for the 2-year election? Should they do like
that's one way to go,
or should they be part of a resistance movement? What did you get the folks that are frustrated?
So my wife was freaking out and was talking to one of her friends, and the friend says, look, you'll be fine. You're a white lady living in Los Angeles, California. So yeah, we probably will be, okay ourselves. But there's plenty to freak out about. But one thing to do is to let Trump be Trump and let him burn down his own presidency, which he pretty much did in his first term, and let the House get flipped in 2026, and maybe the Senate. I haven't looked at what the one reason the Senate flipped so easily this time is that of the 34 seats up for grabs, 22 of them had been owned by Democrats, so they had more to defend. I don't know what 2026 looks like.
I think, I mean, what Rick touched on, a lot of it's very true. I also want to add in that we have to stay vigilant, have to get motivated and active. Honestly, what Nick touched on is true, and which we completely agree on. The Republican Party is so much better at messaging. We have to learn that over these next 2 years, because we're going to lose a lot of stuff. And as Rick points out, yes, a lot's going to burn down and it's going to suck. And we're going to have a tough 4 years coming up, because the last 4 years we had hate crime spike, protests in the street regularly, and we had a pandemic that closed down the whole world. So we have to stay vigilant. We have to learn messaging a ton better. We cannot go on this idea that, hey, now we must learn how to lie better. No, we cannot. We have to stay true to who we are. We have to educate people better. We have to push, yes, financial literacy, Nick. One of the biggest reasons that he won is that people heard tariffs and that, oh, well, the other country's going to pay for them. But then when you educate people to how tariffs actually work, if I'm having to pay more for my product and I'm selling it to you, do you think I'm just going to say, hey, I'm going to take a less profit? When people started understanding that, that's when they started saying, okay, well, there's an issue with the whole tariff situation. So messaging, motivate, collectively work together, come up with a great plan to attack these different areas, to attack these different areas that are low education voters, work with the low income areas to find out. I mean, it's just basically, we have to get even more active.
Well, I would think that just letting him crash and burn again would probably be the element that we need to focus on. I mean, Elon, he said a lot, and I'm going to play a 30-second clip, and I want your opinion of it. But, he said other things too, like, we're going to put the right people in place and take care of this country like we did last time. And, nobody took care of this country.
Government sort of overreach. And, really, I think we want to restore freedom to the people. So that your individual liberties are prized, and you get to do what you want to do, and you're not sort of overregulated to death, which is kind of what's happening. It's sort of shocking, but I think there's something like 428.
So, I mean, I cut it at that point, because then he goes into, how many departments there are, and that, he does have a lot of government contracts through his programs and everything. But he said that they want us to be less over-regulated by government, less government, but they want us and to have freedoms and rights. But we don't. They don't want us to, because they take away women's rights. Yes, Rick.
So I looked up the Senate for 2026, 33 seats up for grabs, 20 of them owned by Republicans. So there might be two that, hold on, there might be two that are flippable. One of them is North Carolina, because you guys you've got a Republican in there right now, but your state only leans Republican by 3%. So if Trump does an especially terrible job, it might be possible for a Democrat to get in there. And the other one is Maine with Susan Collins, who is kind of an a-hole, and Maine leans Democrat. She's Republican. She might decide not to run again. That gives Democrats a chance there.
Why would you want Democrats in office anyway? They're horrible people.
I would like to see independents.
Well, there's a lot of people looking for independence, but we'll see if we can get the whole system.
Explain that
all the time.
Nick,
did you see what Elizabeth Warren did? Oh, he's violating the law. I know, because I created the law and he violated it.
Nick,
all they do it in Washington,
the simple question, Nick,
useless laws, and they try to enforce it against small businesses and big businesses. Why would you want any of them elected? I have no idea. Oh wait,
I can answer that.
Nick, I can answer that simply. Either.
Nick, let me put it here. I'll put it simply. First, to touch on what Kimberly said.
Let's create a law that says no Democrats can be elected.
I can answer that simply. Just to point out something real quick that Kimberly was pointing out. Kim, you were spot on with Elon. The reason he wants to do the deregulation and everything else is because he's trying to take away the regulations against his companies that he's having to do.
Because they're senseless.
No. He's actually in legitimate and legal jeopardy because of those. So he's trying to take away those regulations around that. In terms of your answer, Nick, real quick.
He wants to deregulate the programs that regulate him. He's been under investigation. And now he'll be over the departments, but he wants to deregulate.
In terms of your answer, Nick, why you want others in office?
With spaceships like that submarine we had that was deregulated.
Regulations by mindless people who are on a power trip. Repeat after me.
Mindless
regulations by mindless people who are on a power trip. And that's what he wants to get rid of. Even David Walker said, I fell out of my chair. He goes, well,
that is so hypocritical. That is so hypocritical. I'm a passenger in the vehicle. We drive on the other side of the road in this country. So I'm a passenger. I have
with you.
So Nick, just to answer your question about why you want others in office, not one party has all the answers. Politics. So not one part, the Republican Party doesn't have all the answers. The Democrat Party doesn't have all the answers. The Green Party doesn't. The rent too dang high party doesn't. The thing is, you want a diverse section of people across government to be able to represent and be able to talk to and talk about problems that other people aren't listening. That's why you want.
Are you serious?
You want a diverse. You want a diverse set of people. I don't. I want qualified people who know what they're doing. You want a diverse set of people.
Are you saying that no Democrat is qualified? Nick, are you saying that no Democrat is qualified? Are you saying that no green only Republicans are qualified? Is what you're saying?
I want qualified people.
We agree, but you're saying.
I don't want loyalists either, because we got a bunch of loyalists that are going into the Trump administration. I want people that are actually qualified for the job. I don't care that they're Democrats, Republicans, or purple people for all I care.
Nick, how is Chrissy qualified for the job?
But I did have a question that Rick brought up.
How is she qualified? Hold on.
I got a question for Rick.
Mark.
I got a question for Rick, and it actually ties into this whole conversation. Because one of the things that I did watch a interview, I think I mentioned it recently, with Pod Saves America, and they definitely mentioned this notion of, I think 6 out of 10 of the top podcasts are actually very conservative, and there are a number of conservative voices that are very out there and everything. Even Shaquille jokes that we're progressive TV and everything and all along those lines. But I was wondering, where is the liberal voice and everything? There's some people that say it's mainstream media. I don't agree and everything. So where is the liberal voice that is out there, and how do we get a liberal infrastructure and everything? Because I don't think that
let me respond to that really quickly. Libs tried to do it with Air America. This trend started with Rush Limbaugh probably 30 years ago. Conservatives will listen to long blocks of conservative talk, and for some reason libs will not. Maybe are libs worse at that?
Those aren't the people.
Well, now that I've arrived at my destination, I've got to go. I just find it fascinating, Kimberly, that you let Jacoby drive with me, put me backstage.
Libertarians just, need to learn how to talk more, and be less. They need more money, I think. We just don't have enough. But I think we need to focus the next 4 years on libertarians. I think we need to.
All right, so let's look back at Rush Limbaugh. Rush Limbaugh's main competition for years was Howard Stern. Mm-hmm. So Limbaugh, very political, pretty entertaining. Now, he pissed me off because I didn't agree with any, but he was an entertaining guy who came from a sportscasting background. He knew how to keep people's ears. Howard Stern, obviously very entertaining, could keep people listening for 3 hours a day after day. Stern, less political, more about boobies. I don't know how liberals learn how to hold on to people's ears for hours a day. They haven't been able to do it.
It's not a liberal conservative thing. The people that you lost the election to were the independent voters from the swing states.
So
wake up. It had nothing to do with the conservatives are always going to vote.
So
no matter what you say, and the liberals are always going to vote for whoever the Democrat. You lost the independent voters.
Okay,
just to point out real quick.
Wait, let me say one thing, which is when independents turn on the radio, or turn on a podcast, if they're more likely to find conservative material. So
just to put a button on these numbers, because we keep talking about these numbers, Trump actually gained only about 1 million extra individuals. Kamala Harris lost roughly about 10 million individuals. If you look at the numbers from 2020. So how did those 10 million go away? That's tough to say, because there are a lot of issues that happened within the whole thing, because the Democrat Party was losing while Biden was in office, and the Democrat Party was depressed. And so there's a lot of issues with bringing back another extra 10 million people to match what they did in 2020, which was also dealing with COVID. So there are a lot of issues where those 10 million people, some stayed home because it was a depression of the vote, a protest vote, didn't want to do either party, didn't like the inflation, hated all. There are a whole bunch of things that could have gone on. But I think what we were just talking about is where we should be, is what's going to be on the future. What's happening? What's right now, Rick, you had the best point of talking about flipping over North Carolina and flipping over Maine. And there are other states, I think, that can be flipped, because I think we can get those blue wall states back. Because I think what both you and Kim pointed out, he is going to burn it down. And a lot of these states that voted for him are going to hurt the most, because he's so transactional. And when you're talking about these tariffs, that's going to skyrocket everything.
But there's one more thing going on. Even if he burns it down, the level of bullshit and propaganda that we are going to be hit with will be getting more and more sophisticated, because AI is getting smarter. In 2020, the propaganda, in 2016, we got hit with a ton of propaganda. It wasn't very sophisticated. It's going to keep getting better. Will we be able to resist it? I don't know.
I think that it would be nice to see this country for the next 4 years promote an independent party, somebody that is not part of the Democrat or the Republican Party. And you know what? I'm not even going to talk about him being a convicted felon, but I did find out today, I was texted today, that I guess the sentencing is going to be the 26th of November. Maybe. They keep delaying it. Adam was here today to tell us that it was going to happen today, but I don't think that they're going to sentence him. Can they reverse the decision of the jury now?
Nope. Can't reverse the decision of the jury, but the thing is, judges can sit and wait before they issue an opinion.
Why is the judge waiting?
He's not getting prison time.
I'm going to go over the case that I took to the United States Supreme Court. Here's what happened. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals sat on the case for almost 2 years. Okay. So the thing is, the judge can sit on the case for almost an infinite amount of time before he renders a decision. No hurry. And the latest thing he said, it may affect his ability to do his job. So the thing is, I don't think that's going anywhere. I think, unfortunately,
so can this set a precedent?
It's over.
So also, this is not a crime for which people get prison. He's a first-time offender, this is something where somebody might get a couple months in jail. He's not going to get
he'll get probation.
Probation plus community service. It would be interesting for him to get community service and have to
But
report like
it doesn't matter, because the thing
PSA.
is, right now the judge is holding off until the prosecutors and the defendants come up with a theory whether or not this affects his ability to do his job. And that can go all the way to the Supreme Court. When things go all the way to the Supreme Court, Trump will be out of office before this thing gets resolved. You know, my case took 10 years. 10 years.
But he
This
was
case has
never
been
going to get a
on.
prison term for this.
No, he's
Think-
never going to get a prison term.
Think
You
of
know,
the sad,
and
think
again,
of the
the thing
sad
is,
irony.
this was the problem of the election. You made it all about his personality, and you didn't address the issues that Americans wanted to hear. And I'm not talking about the Republicans or Democrats. I'm talking about the independent voters. You know, and when you do that, you're going to lose. And let me tell you the other thing, another problem. And we've gone over this before on our network. The Democrats were delusional. Okay, when she quote won the debate. Oh, she's home run, everything. Oh, Kamala's the next queen of Egypt. And then after that, okay, what was more delusional than that was, oh, she's winning in the polls. Even Rick was saying, no, she's winning everywhere in the polls. My polls were showing her losing. Oh, we don't want to listen to that. That's LinkedIn. You guys all said that's LinkedIn.
Let me talk
LinkedIn's
about
the
how
business
delusional I
community,
was.
The
I
independent,
don't.
smart business community that we're broadcasting on right now. You guys ignored them like they were a bunch of idiots. And I didn't. I was going, hey, look, every time I put up Trump versus Kamala Harris, Trump versus Biden, Trump was kicking their
No,
tail.
I mean, I went
No,
along with it and
we're
said
not gonna
Trump was
listen to
going to
that. That's the
win.
delusion. You guys-
So
I went along with it and said Trump's going to win, but he shouldn't. Go ahead, Rick.
Let me say how delusional I was. I don't gamble. I don't, because I'm good at math, and gambling is a dumb thing. I bet a ton of
Yes.
money, first on Biden, then after he dropped out, not a ton of money, but a ton for me, and then on Harris, because to me it barely seemed like gambling. It seemed obvious that Trump was doing a crap job, was a crap guy, and that Harris was going to win. I lost, a few $100.
So
I lost, and
Toby?
so yeah, I
Let me put
was deluded.
I don't think it was delusional in the way that you're thinking about it, though, Nick, because she was winning in the polls and it came down to a get out and vote mission. But the delusion was the fact that Trump had done everything wrong.
Elon paid for it.
Went on stage talking about Arnold Palmer's junk as if that is a hot topic that people wanted to know about. He's talking about all these other.
But Elon paid for the votes after that.
And so it was just, it was the delusion that we aren't who we are. It was the fact that we could believe that, hey, we're going to move forward. We're going to be more positive. But no, we went down the dark path of a gentleman talking about genitalia of another individual, calling other people enemies of within and all this other stuff. That's where the delusion is, not in the fact that.
So I have a question about that. Do we think that Trump is just a guy who will say random crap and can't be controlled by his campaign? Or do we think that his internal polling said he was going to do fine and he could go ahead and do whatever the heck he wanted and he was still going to win?
The latter.
I don't know, but we're at the top of the hour and we'll have to pick up that conversation on the next World Politics. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Boy, this is going to be an interesting next
less
4 years.
government sort of overreach. And, I think we want to restore freedom to the people. So that your individual liberties are prized, and you get to do what you want to do, and you're not sort of overregulated to death, which is kind of what's happening. It's sort of shocking, but I think there's something like 428.
Well, there you go, folks. Thank you for watching.